This is an instructional video for the Paranologies Vocorder. The Vocorder is a new type of digital recorder that's built just for the paranormal investigation in mind. It has several modes and two types of digital recorders built in. First, it has an adjustable voice-activated recorder. What happens is if it hears a voice or a noise within the selected range, it'll start recording immediately for 5 seconds. Then it'll play back for 5 seconds. I'll give you an example here in a second. Basically, it has a loudspeaker on it. And the mode is so sensitive that you can whisper and it'll activate the recording loop. So I'll give you an example now. Right now I have the volume down. This is the adjustment knob for one of the microphones for the voice detection. So I'm going to turn it all the way up and I'm going to whisper. Hello. You can hear that it picked me up, and I'll turn it up so you can hear.
You can hear that it picked me up, and I'll turn it up.
Okay, so you see what it did there. It recorded my whisper immediately, it picked it up, and then it played it back. So why is this good? Well, if you're sitting in a location, no one is speaking, and there's no sounds going on, and all of a sudden this lights up, that means it's detected something either in the infrasound or the ultrasound spectrum, because that's what this microphone picks up. And then, not only did it detect it by this light visually telling you it detected it, but then it's going to play back what it detected immediately. Now, what's cool about this, I said earlier, it had two recorders built in. The second recorder records continuously non-stop. So not only do you have this looping feature where it'll play back and record your EVPs, but you can go back later through a program such as Audacity, etc., and load up the 8-hour investigation that you just did, because it'll record for up to 8 hours. The onboard recorder will record the output of this device, and you'll see on Audacity the waveforms are higher, so you can easily pick out your EVPs a whole lot faster, and it changes your review time. There is another mode. The second mode is basically it's a loop mode, which when selected it's going to record for 5 seconds and then play for 5 seconds. It's going to do it continuously until you switch it to another mode, and that's what this switch is for. So when I push the switch, it's going to continuously record my voice, and it's going to continuously play back.
Push the switch. It's going to continuously record my voice, and it's going to...
Okay, now it's going to go back, record again. It's going to do that forever until I turn that switch off. Now this is good if you're doing other work such as checking energy readings or etc. You know, that way while you're listening live to EVPs, you can actually sweep the room for something else. And if you don't hear any EVPs, you simply pick up the vocorder and just move it into another room until you start getting responses. Now when you start getting responses, that's when you can have a two-way communication if you do get that type of responses. It's intended to be a pod-style recorder, not intended to be held. Although if you do want to hold it, you can do that, but just make sure that you stay very still, because the microphones on these are very sensitive. It'll actually pick up your breathing. It's the only voice-activated microphone system that picks up whispering. A lot of the other handheld recorders, they do have voice activation, but this is tuned in the infrasound and the ultrasound spectrum. So that's why it's so super sensitive. Now, separate versions of this further down the line, because this is the first version of this, we're going to actually include some of the sensors. So we're going to have a sensor mode where it'll have an onboard sensor like a periscope or whatever kind of Paranology sensor you want to add. So as soon as the sensor goes off, it'll start recording for EVPs and then play it back after the sensor is done going off. This is good for getting two types of communication in one. All of the modes are done through the first onboard recorder, which has its own microphone that's tuned to infrasound and ultrasound, like I told you earlier. Since we cannot hear this high or low in the sound frequency spectrum, the LED indicator on top of the unit lets us know when it has detected something, and that means it's recording. The second onboard recorder, as I said earlier, is continuously recording, and that way nothing will be missed. The good thing about having the vocorder is no longer do you have to worry about catching certain spectrums on digital recorders and things like this. This has a spectrum between 18 hertz all the way up to 25 kilohertz, which is a wide spectrum for any digital recorder. But this technology has been proven with our phonopod, our phonoband, and our EVP. So I know they capture EVPs with these microphones and the technology that's involved in this. It runs off 4 AA's. It's very easy to use when you first turn it on. You can adjust your voice activation. Make sure that your mode is turned off, because if this is turned on, that means it's going to sweep continuously. So make sure that's off if you want to do voice activation. This is your main volume for the loudspeaker, and it's a good speaker. You can hear this from across the room. No need to amplify this. So I'm going to turn it on. It's going to continuously, it's going to start recording immediately because it picks up my voice. You'll hear it here in a second.
Immediately, it picks up my voice. You'll hear it here in a second.
Alright, so let's say that we have maybe a refrigerator running or something in the background. We can tune that out with this microphone. This is the microphone adjustment that picks up the voice activation. So if I want to pick up whispering, I'm going to crank this thing all the way up. However, if you have something in the background that's going off, it's just going to continuously loop recording. So you can tune that out with this. So I'm going to turn it up and see when it starts to detect my voice. There it is. So right there it detects my voice. You'll hear it play back.
There it is. So right there it detects my voice.
Alright, there it goes again. Detected my voice. Now this probably won't pick up whispering.
There it goes again.
We'll see if it does.
Detected my voice. Now this is probably won't.
See, it's not picking up my whispering, it just picked up my voice. But when this loops again, I'll turn it all the way up and show you again.
My whispering, it just picked up my voice. But when this loops again, I'll turn it all the way up.
Okay, I'm going to turn it all the way down for a second. Right now, I'm going to turn it all the way up and start whispering. Let's see if it picks it up. Hello, can you hear me? This is me whispering from about 2 feet away. All right.
Can you hear me? This is me whispering from about 2 feet away.
So these are good examples of how sensitive this device is. And as you know, most of paranormal investigation we do has a lot of EVPs with it. Most of our evidence comes in the form of audio. So this piece of equipment should give you some really good evidence. And like I said, it does record all the time with the onboard recorder. Has a USB port on the bottom. Plug it in, dump the files on your computer. You don't need any extra programming or anything like that. If you have any questions about the vocorder, shoot us an email, paranologies@yahoo.com, and you can go and see this device at paranologies.com.